Hey guys, it's Jeff. Sorry, not going to make it in for this week's edition of the Chris and Jeff Show. Kind of here at the vacation home, enjoying the hot tub and the palm trees and the good life.
Who are you? What the are you doing in my hot tub?
That's what I don't want you to do, is just don't forward. I don't care about the side. Yeah, don't do that.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Chris and Jeff Show. I'm Jeff Zidek. I am what?
Really? So, like, you gonna let the general public know if you got arrested? I mean, who's hot?
I'm all refreshed. I'm all refreshed from vacation. That's all I'm saying.
So I need to go to the Vegas police beat and see if there's a little.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Chris and Jeff Show. I was told that since I changed what we were going to talk about, that Chris Gooden wasn't going to be on camera today. And he said, oh, so you'll just have to talk for 9 minutes by yourself. And I said, the chance of you making 9 minutes without talking, and what did we make? About a half second into this thing, and he was yapping already. So what I'm going to talk about today, people that follow our races on a regular basis noticed this week that there's been a bit of a change, and that is that we now have 1 and 1A in several races.
You can actually slide that forward so people can actually see. Wait, that didn't work. Hold on.
3D.
Slide forward. 1 and 1A. Ooh, there, they can see it now. Back to you, Roger.
We're broadcasting in 3D. Oh, there's my alarm.
For your medications,
For my
you
medication,
old
my
man.
old man medications. Yeah, he's really not going to talk for 9 minutes, isn't he?
Is it time for your nap?
The nap comes right after the first race, as people can tell with my handicapping. But handicapping is what we're going to be focusing on here this week and next. But today I want to talk a little bit about these 1-1A entries. Is that 3D again? Is that
No,
good?
that didn't work that time.
Okay. But I've gotten a few questions on Twitter already about why we all of a sudden have a bunch of 1-1A entries. Well, first off, let's go into what a 1 and 1A entry means. That means you get 2 horses for the price of 1. If you bet number 1, it doesn't matter if number 1 wins, it doesn't matter if 1A wins. You've got them both covered with one single ticket. The one change that it does make, though, is you've got to look for the post positions, which appear in very tiny print, which is why I need my reading glasses. Very tiny print above the number, and that tells you what post position. So 1 and 1A are not going to generally be posts 1 and 2. They're going to be spread out. They could be posts 8 and 9 if it works out that way. They draw the post positions as usual, and then they see if there is a 1-1A entry. They have to go 1-1A because we don't have saddle pads for 7-7A. We just have saddle pads for 1 and 1A. And so I got them. They're there.
Then why do you need readers?
Why don't anymore? I was making a general point.
Okay.
He made it about a minute there without yapping. All right.
Hey, I'm good.
Yeah, sure. But anyway.
Whose name's first on the show?
Anyway, the reason that we now have these entries is because over the years, the rule had always been that the State Racing Commission would only grant the permission to uncouple entries. An uncoupled entry means that if the same stable has 2 horses in the race, they can still be number 3 and number 6, and they're 2 separate betting interests. And they kind of have given carte blanche over the years in recent years to allow that to happen. So it gives us more betting interests in each race. I'm not sure exactly why the change was made, but at some point in the last few weeks, the decision was made by the State Racing Commission to revert to the former rule where you can only uncouple entries in a top level race, such as an open or a stake race, things like that. And so your general, what we call overnight races, your regular non-winners of 1, non-winners of 5, whatever, those races, you will now start to see if the same trainer has 2 horses entered, you will see them coupled as 1 and 1A. What difference does it make for the bettor? Again, it's 1 less horse to wager on. So our first race we're recording this on Friday, our first race on the Friday card, there are 8 horses, but there's only 7 betting interests because you've got 1-1A grouped together. Under the previous system, there would be these horses, you would have 8 betting interests. So it's a little different. And there actually, if you want to talk to different bettors, there's 2 ways to look at it. There's some people that say, yes, they should always be coupled together as 1-1A because it's the same trainer, same owner in many cases. But then there's other people that would say we'd rather have more horses to bet on. So, you're going to find both sides of that issue. Which side am I on? I just announce and sit here and get abused by Chris verbally on the show. So I have no opinion here. But again, it's the key thing, and what makes it interesting for me is when I'm trying to call the race and I'm used to a red saddle pad coming out from the inside, and all of a sudden you've got two red saddle pad horses coming out from the outside. I got to figure out who the hell's who, and so I'm old and I'll get confused very easily. So watch me screw these up. It'll happen regularly. Chris Gooden, I know you've been sitting silent for about a minute and a half now. What do you have to add at this point?
Well, I don't have anything to add.
Oh, you don't have anything to add.
Well, it doesn't really affect me as a photographer. I mean, I'm just out there taking pictures of horses. It's really only for the betting public. I mean, I'm just doing my thing.
So again, just a little bit of a different thing for our bettors to get accustomed to is looking for that post position. And to me, that is the key to this whole thing as far as how this affects the general handicapper and wagering public. Because again, yeah, one less horse to wager on. But the key thing is realizing that if number one is not leaving from post one, you've got to look and see where that horse is leaving from. And so you might bet number one thinking, oh, I've got an inside post today, but that number one might actually be way on the outside with post 7 or something like that. So you do have to pay closer attention to that.
How many times a week do you think this happens here?
Well, it's actually on today's racing card. Again, we're recording this on Friday. There's 4 out of our 11 races have a 1-1A entry today. And a 5th race on the card has an uncoupled entry because it's our top level pace for the week. And so 5 of our races today ended up with 2 horses from the same trainer in the same race. You know, over the years, horse populations have changed, owners have come and gone, and you end up with some very large stables that we didn't always have before. And some of those larger stables, but even some of the smaller stables end up with 2 horses in the same race. I know, in just the last week or so, I've looked, and I think our first 1-1A entry was out of the Gary Johnston barn, a more mid-sized stable. Jim Rothfuss stable has had entries, and of course you expect to see it from the stables like the Ron Burke barn. So it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on in recent weeks, or in coming weeks, and as that change happens over to where you see more 1 and 1A entries.
I'm guessing, though, that probably this time of year, though, is a lot of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 2-year-olds that are coming back too or starting their racing. That's going to happen more often than over the winter when it's just your basic stock that we normally have. Over
the winter, actually, it's a little tougher to field enough. We don't have a lot of horses because a lot of horses take the winter off. Right. And so I think you're going to see, for instance, we talked a few weeks ago, Norm Parker was approaching his 1,000th win, and I think I said at the time he was only racing 1 horse. Well, Norm's got a very large stable, so you're going to see a lot of Norm Parker horses, for example, coming back to the races.
Darwin's in today, Wild Western's in today,
right?
Winterfell's in today, so his stock is.
Yes, and so as we get more trainers bringing horses back, I think we're going to see actually less of these 1-1A entries because there are more trainers that have horses ready to race. Some other notes from around the track. Let's go to that. We are actually going to put out an invitation for next week's episode. Scott Betts, we want to come and talk to you and have you as a guest on our show. Scott's our leading trainer right now. He's gotten off to a fantastic start, 27 wins through what's going into today's card. He's got about a 7-win lead over Ron Burke, which is very tough to do. But the Betts stable racing a lot of horses right now, and so we're going to try to get Scott on the show next week as a special guest.
I thought you and I were filming a show, like doing a prep of what you do before races and what I do before races next week.
You thought that. I just called an audible.
Well, that show will be coming as well. Jeff, we're going
to talk a little bit about how we prep for the races, what I do handicapping wise, what Chris does. I don't know what Chris does, but we'll find out.
You know what that means, though? We're going to get Jeff to TikTok.
That does not. How does that mean that?
Because it's what I do to prep for races. There's TikTok.
No, I'm going to be holding the camera, and I'm going to be recording.
Right, but I'll also make you TikTok.
I don't see how one even remotely relates to the other.
Well,
have I talked long enough yet? Are we done yet?
It doesn't matter, because eventually there will come a time when you will do something stupid on camera that I can just automatically move the TikTok.
God knows I haven't done anything stupid on camera these first 9 or 10 episodes, huh?
Oh no, I easily have footage. I just have not.
No, I said, yeah. You have plenty of that footage,
probably.
I'm sure. So, thank you to my friend. You can find him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas. Marco D'Angelo, a world famous handicapper, owner of WagerTalk.com. He was the one that allowed me to
Yeah.
stay at his home for a few days, and he helped with the opening scene today. So Marco, thank you very much. That's at Marco in Vegas. That's really all we've got for this week's episode.
I was going to say something, but my old man brain kicked in and I lost my train of
Oh,
thought.
I get accused of that when I've got to take my old man medication and
Yeah.
use my old man glasses, but you forget something and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I
This is
can't
what I
remember
deal
what I was
with.
going to say. You do
Yeah.
not deal with this on a daily basis.
Hey, thanks for buying lunch yesterday when I forgot my wallet.
Yeah, and sheets.
And sheets.
Drove.
Yeah, and
You forgot your
drove. I
keys,
forgot my
too.
keys and my wallet. I mean, they were up here.
This is what I deal with.
Yeah.
He forgets everything.
Old and forgetful. There goes Bob.
It's time to take them
It's
meds.
time to take my medicine. So that is going to be all for this week's episode of the Chris and Jeff Show. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, that does it for this week's episode of the Chris and Jeff Show. Special thanks to Mike out in Vegas for the use of our hot tub for Jeff's portion of today. Next week, we have a special treat. We finally get to get out of the studio. We're going to go over and visit the Scott Betts barn. We're going to see Scott, our leading trainer here at the Meadows in 2022. Jeff's going to interview him, ask him some questions pertaining to his horses, training, all that fun stuff. As always, guys, like, subscribe. There. I don't know where Kevin puts the button. See you soon.
Wait, I got a text.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
You're on air.
I'm popular. No, I'm not popular. I just gotta.
Oh, Jesus. Give me that.
I got a guy on the other line about some white walls.